What if one of the most powerful things you could do for healthier aging after 50 has nothing to do with expensive supplements and everything to do with daily habits that influence inflammation, metabolism, cellular repair, and the body's natural defense systems? Researchers studying long-lived populations in Japan have become increasingly interested in how simple morning routines may help support healthier cells and reduce the biological stress linked to chronic disease. I'm Dr. Alan Mandel, and today we need to talk about a simple, Japanese-inspired morning habit that has gained attention for its potential connection to longevity, metabolic health, inflammation control, and cellular resilience, and why doctors say consistency matters far more than miracle anti-cancer claims. Before we continue, I need to make something very clear. No habit can guarantee cancer prevention. No food starves cancer completely. And no morning routine magically repairs all DNA damage overnight. Cancer is an extremely complex group of diseases influenced by genetics, aging, environment, inflammation, metabolism, immune function, smoking exposure, diet, and many other factors. But researchers do know something very important. The body contains powerful repair and defense systems that respond continuously to lifestyle patterns. And honestly, this is where healthy daily routines become medically fascinating. Now let's begin with the Japanese habit many longevity experts often discuss: starting the morning slowly with hydration, movement, mindful eating, and lower inflammatory stress, rather than immediately shocking the body with heavy processed foods, chronic stress, or metabolic overload. This may sound simple, but biologically it matters far more than many people realize. Now let's talk about inflammation, because this lies at the center of many chronic diseases associated with aging. Low-grade chronic inflammation increases over time due to factors like poor sleep, smoking, excess sugar intake, obesity, physical inactivity, stress, ultra-processed diets. Over years, this inflammatory environment may contribute to cellular stress and tissue damage throughout the body. And honestly, one reason researchers study traditional Japanese lifestyles is because many patterns historically associated with Japanese longevity involve lower inflammatory burden overall. Now let's discuss the phrase repairing DNA, because this is often misunderstood online. Every day, your cells experience DNA damage from normal metabolism, environmental exposure, oxidative stress, ultraviolet light, toxins, and aging itself. But the body also possesses sophisticated DNA repair mechanisms working constantly to identify and correct many forms of damage. This means the goal is not magical DNA repair. The goal is supporting the systems that help the body maintain cellular stability over time. Now let's talk about oxidative stress. Oxidative stress occurs when unstable molecules called free radicals overwhelm the body's antioxidant defenses. Over time, excessive oxidative stress may damage cells, proteins, fats, and DNA. This is where diet becomes extremely important. Traditional Japanese eating patterns often emphasize foods rich in antioxidants and plant compounds. Green tea, sea vegetables, fish, fermented foods, vegetables, soy-based foods. Many of these foods contain compounds studied for their potential roles in reducing oxidative stress and supporting cellular health. Now let's discuss green tea, because it is one of the most researched Japanese health habits. Green tea contains catechins, including EGCG, compounds studied for antioxidant and anti-inflammatory effects. Researchers have explored how these compounds may influence cellular signaling, inflammation, and metabolic health. This does not mean green tea cures cancer, but it does mean certain plant compounds may support healthier biological environments over time. Now let's talk about fasting and meal timing briefly, because this area has gained enormous scientific attention. Some researchers believe that avoiding constant overeating may help support cellular maintenance processes. During periods between meals, the body shifts metabolic activity in ways that may support cleanup and repair systems. One process often discussed is autophagy. Autophagy is the body's internal recycling system where damaged cellular components are broken down and removed. This process becomes especially interesting in aging research because it helps cells maintain function under stress. And honestly, this is one reason moderate eating patterns and avoiding constant snacking are being studied so heavily in longevity science. Now let's discuss morning movement. Many long-lived populations naturally incorporate gentle movement throughout the day, instead of remaining sedentary for long periods. Simple walking, stretching, balance work, gardening, or light activity helps support circulation, insulin sensitivity, inflammation balance, metabolic function, and importantly, movement also supports immune regulation and stress reduction. Now let's talk about stress, because chronic emotional stress affects the body deeply. Persistent stress hormones increase inflammation, disrupt sleep, impair immune regulation, and worsen metabolic health. This is why slower, calmer morning routines may influence health indirectly by reducing nervous system strain. And honestly, many people begin every morning in a state of immediate overstimulation. Phone notifications, bad news, sugar spikes, heady stress, rushing. The nervous system never truly settles. Now let's discuss blood sugar, because metabolic health strongly influences inflammation and cellular stress. Large glucose spikes and insulin resistance may contribute to oxidative stress over time. Traditional diets associated with longevity often emphasize moderation, fiber-rich foods, smaller portions, and slower eating patterns. Again, not magic, biology. Now let's discuss sleep briefly, because this may be one of the most underestimated anti-aging tools available. During sleep, the body performs critical repair processes involving hormone regulation, immune balance, metabolic recovery, and cellular maintenance. Poor sleep increases inflammatory stress significantly. Now here is another important truth. Most chronic disease risk develops slowly, not from one meal, not from one bad day, but from repeated patterns over years. And this is exactly why daily habits matter so much more than temporary detox trends. Now let's end this first part with the most important message. The body already contains extraordinary systems for repair, defense, detoxification, and cellular maintenance. The real goal is not chasing miracle anti-cancer hacks. It is reducing the chronic biological stress that overwhelms those systems over time. And in the next part, I'll explain why inflammation and metabolic dysfunction increase cancer risk with aging. The Japanese lifestyle patterns researchers study most closely, and the everyday habits that may quietly support healthier cells after 50 without relying on exaggerated health claims. I'm Dr. Alan Mandel, and as we continue, I want to go deeper into why scientists studying longevity and cancer prevention focus so heavily on inflammation, metabolism, and daily lifestyle patterns. Because many people think disease appears suddenly, when in reality, the biological environment inside the body is being shaped quietly every single day. And honestly, this is one of the most important concepts in modern preventive medicine. Before we continue, I want you to remember something critical. Cancer cells do not appear because one person forgot a miracle morning routine. Cancer is extraordinarily complex. It develops through interactions involving genetics, aging, environmental exposures, immune regulation, inflammation, metabolism, and cellular damage accumulating over time. But researchers do know this: the internal environment of the body matters enormously. Now let's begin with inflammation, because this sits at the center of many age-related diseases. Inflammation itself is not bad. In fact, it is essential for healing and immune defense. When you get injured or infected, inflammation helps protect the body. The problem occurs when low-grade inflammation becomes chronic. This persistent inflammatory state may quietly damage tissues, blood vessels, metabolic systems, and cellular communication over many years. And honestly, many modern lifestyle patterns push the body into chronic inflammatory overload. Poor sleep, smoking, excess alcohol, ultra-processed diets, physical inactivity, chronic stress, obesity, uncontrolled blood sugar. Together, these factors create biological strain that affects nearly every organ system. Now let's discuss why researchers became interested in Japanese longevity patterns specifically. Japan has historically had some of the world's longest life expectancies and lower rates of certain chronic diseases compared with many Western populations. Scientists studying these populations noticed recurring lifestyle patterns, moderate eating habits, smaller portions, frequent walking and movement, strong social connection, lower obesity rates historically, higher intake of vegetables, fish, green tea, and fermented foods. Now, this does not mean Japanese people are immune to disease, and modern lifestyles are changing health patterns globally. But researchers remain fascinated by how these traditional habits may support healthier aging environments inside the body. Now let's talk about metabolism, because cancer and metabolic health are more connected than many people realize. Chronically elevated blood sugar and insulin resistance increase oxidative stress and inflammation over time. High insulin levels may also influence growth signaling pathways involved in cellular behavior. This does not mean sugar directly feeds cancer in the simplistic way social media often claims. Every cell in the body, including healthy cells, uses glucose for energy. But metabolic dysfunction creates a biological environment associated with higher chronic disease risk overall. Now let's discuss visceral fat, because this becomes increasingly important after 50. Visceral fat, the deeper fat surrounding organs, is metabolically active tissue. It releases inflammatory signaling molecules that may contribute to insulin resistance and chronic inflammation. This is one reason movement and weight stability matter so much for long-term health, not because of appearance, because of biology. Now let's discuss autophagy more deeply, because this term is constantly misused online. Autophagy is the body's natural cleanup and recycling system. Cells break down damaged proteins and dysfunctional components to maintain healthier cellular function. Researchers study autophagy heavily in aging science because it appears connected to cellular resilience. Certain conditions, such as periods between meals, exercise, and metabolic stress adaptation, may influence these pathways. But this does not mean extreme fasting cures disease. And honestly, some people become so obsessed with aggressive fasting trends that they create malnutrition, muscle loss, or dangerous metabolic stress instead of health. Balance matters. Now let's discuss green tea again, because it remains one of the most studied traditional Japanese health habits. Green tea contains catechins and polyphenols associated with antioxidant activity. Researchers study these compounds for possible roles in reducing oxidative stress and supporting healthier cellular signaling. But here is the important distinction. Supporting cellular health is not the same thing as guaranteeing disease prevention. This nuance matters enormously. Now let's talk about movement, because this may be one of the strongest anti-inflammatory tools available. Movement improves circulation, insulin sensitivity, lymphatic flow, blood vessel function, stress regulation, and importantly, regular movement reduces sedentary time, which is increasingly associated with chronic disease risk. Many long-lived populations do not necessarily perform intense gym workouts. They simply move consistently throughout the day. Walking, gardening, standing, stretching, daily physical engagement. The body was built for movement. Now let's discuss stress, because chronic emotional stress changes the body profoundly. Persistent cortisol elevation affects immune regulation, inflammation balance, sleep quality, blood sugar stability, hormonal signaling. And honestly, many people underestimate how deeply emotional strain affects physical health over decades. The nervous system and immune system constantly interact. Now let's talk about social connection, because this area is surprisingly important in longevity research. People living in socially connected communities often experience lower stress burden and better emotional resilience. Loneliness, on the other hand, is associated with increased inflammation, depression risk, reduced activity, and poorer overall health outcomes. Human beings are biologically social creatures. Now let's discuss sleep one final time, because this may be one of the strongest cellular repair tools the body possesses naturally. During deep sleep, the body regulates immune function, hormone balance, metabolic recovery, tissue repair, and neural maintenance. Poor sleep increases inflammatory stress dramatically. And honestly, many people search endlessly for anti-aging supplements while chronically depriving themselves of restorative sleep. Now here is another important truth. The body is remarkably resilient when supported consistently. Cells repair continuously. The immune system adapts continuously. Metabolism responds continuously. But those systems become strained when unhealthy patterns repeat for years without interruption. Now let's close with the most important message from this section. The real Japanese longevity secret is probably not one magical drink, tea, or exercise. It is the cumulative effect of many daily habits working together. Moderate eating, movement, social connection, lower inflammatory burden, metabolic stability, stress reduction, consistent routines. Because healthy aging is rarely created by one dramatic intervention. It is usually the result of small supportive behaviors repeated quietly over decades. And then the final part, I'll explain the realistic morning routine many longevity experts recommend after 50. the biggest myths surrounding anti-cancer habits, and why supporting the body's repair systems consistently matters far more than chasing miracle health claims. I'm Dr. Alan Mandel, and as we finish, I want to leave you with something more valuable than another viral anti-cancer secret. I want to leave you with a realistic understanding of what actually supports healthier aging after 50, and why the most powerful habits are often the simplest ones repeated consistently over time. Because honestly, many people spend years searching for one magical food, one miracle supplement, or one hidden longevity trick, while ignoring the daily biological environment their body lives in every single day. Before we conclude, I want you to remember one essential truth. The body is constantly repairing itself. Every day, cells respond to stress, repair damage, regulate inflammation, balance metabolism, and maintain immune defenses. The goal is not perfection. The goal is reducing the chronic strain that overwhelms those systems over time. Now let's talk about what a realistic, longevity-focused morning routine often looks like in practice. Not extreme, not expensive, not fear-based, but supportive. Many researchers studying healthier aging patterns emphasize starting the morning in ways that reduce metabolic and nervous system stress, rather than intensifying it immediately. This may include hydration after waking, gentle movement, natural light exposure, slower, mindful eating, reduced processed sugar intake, calmer stress levels. And honestly, these habits sound simple because they are simple, but biologically, they influence powerful systems inside the body. Now let's discuss hydration first. After sleep, the body is naturally mildly dehydrated. Proper hydration supports circulation, metabolic function, temperature regulation, and cellular processes throughout the body. This is one reason many people feel mentally clearer and physically better after simply rehydrating properly in the morning. Now let's talk about movement one final time, because this may be one of the strongest protective habits for long-term health. Gentle morning movement helps activate circulation, improve insulin sensitivity, reduce stiffness, and support nervous system regulation. Walking, stretching, light mobility work, breathing exercises. These activities help transition the body into a healthier metabolic state for the day ahead. And importantly, movement also influences mood and stress chemistry. Now let's discuss breakfast and eating patterns realistically. Many traditional longevity-focused cultures emphasize moderation rather than constant overeating. Smaller portions, fiber-rich foods, less ultra-processed food, slower eating. These patterns may help support blood sugar stability and reduce inflammatory stress over time. Again, not magic, biology. Now let's talk about green tea, because it has become one of the most recognized Japanese health habits worldwide. Green tea contains antioxidant compounds studied for their roles in cellular signaling and oxidative stress balance. But here is the important distinction. Green tea is not a cancer cure. It is simply one part of a broader lifestyle pattern associated with healthier aging habits overall. And honestly, this is where many online health claims become dangerously misleading. They isolate one food and ignore the larger context that actually matters. Now let's discuss stress one final time, because this may be one of the most underestimated drivers of chronic disease. The body was not designed to remain in constant survival mode. Persistent stress affects inflammation, sleep quality, hormone balance, immune regulation, metabolic health. This is why calmer morning routines may influence health indirectly by helping regulate the nervous system itself. And honestly, many people wake up and immediately flood their brain with stress. News, notifications, arguments, work pressure, fear-based information. The nervous system never receives recovery time. Now let's discuss sleep, because healthy aging cannot happen properly without restorative sleep. During sleep, the body performs critical maintenance involving immune function, hormonal regulation, neural recovery, cellular repair, metabolic balance. Poor sleep increases oxidative stress and inflammation significantly. And unfortunately, many adults normalize chronic exhaustion as if it were harmless. Now let's talk about consistency, because this is where real prevention actually lives. One healthy breakfast changes little. One walk changes little. One cup of tea changes little. But repeated daily patterns shape the body's biological environment over years. And honestly, this is exactly why long-lived populations attract scientific attention. Not because they discovered magical immortality secrets, but because their routines often reduce chronic physiological stress consistently across decades. Now let's address unrealistic promises directly. No daily habit guarantees freedom from cancer. No doctor can promise complete disease prevention. Aging itself increases cellular risk over time because cells naturally accumulate wear and genetic changes throughout life. But supporting the body consistently may help reduce risk factors associated with chronic disease development. That is the real medical perspective. Now let's discuss emotional health briefly, because healthier aging is not only physical. Purpose matters, connection matters, calmness matters, meaning matters. People with stronger social bonds, emotional resilience, and daily routines often experience healthier aging patterns overall. The mind and body constantly interact. Now let's end with the most important message of all. The real Japanese longevity habit is probably not one tea, one exercise, or one secret ingredient. It is the cumulative effect of living in ways that continuously support the body instead of overwhelming it. Better sleep, steady movement, lower inflammation, balanced nutrition, stress regulation, social connection, metabolic stability. These are the habits that quietly shape health over time. So if there is one final thing I want you to remember, it is this. The body already possesses extraordinary systems for repair, defense, and resilience. And the most powerful thing you can do after 50 is not chase miracle cures, but consistently create an environment where those systems can function as effectively as possible for as long as possible.